sit down. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Nora Thompson, and I will be delivering the monologue for today's show. We have an incredible show for you tonight. Like we do week in and week out, we're talking all things school counseling. What is a school counselor? Why do we have school counselors? Who becomes a school counselor? Where and when can I find my own school counselor? These are all important questions, and we will keep asking them week in and week out because tenacity is one of the greatest strengths of a school counselor. So, the big survey, have we heard about this? We put this out the other week. Have you heard about this? This survey was all about education and schools. We wanted to find out what students, parents, teachers, administration, and what everyone's thinking we need more of in our schools. How we can better help our kids learn and thrive. Well, people, the results are in. It's exciting. We have narrowed it down to just 3 things that everyone is clamoring for more of in their schools. So, number 1, first asked from our community what they want more of for kids in our schools. Everyone told us, over and over again, they want someone to walk alongside students as they pursue academic goals. We kept hearing this, a strong presence in each school that focuses on the individual student's plan to achieve academically. Sounds great, right? Everyone needs that sort of support, so they're not just a number on a list. So, everyone here at our show got together and asked who could fill this role. We reached out to different organizations, we called the governor's office, tossed a coin into a fountain, we even wrote Beyonce. But you'll never guess who got back to us. None other than the ASCA, the American School Counselor Association. ASCA. ASCA and you'll receive it. You're right. So we asked ASCA for their plan concerning individualized student success, and you'll never guess what they said. They said, oh yeah, we do that. We're school counselors. Can you believe it, folks? I know. It's incredible. Now, that wasn't the only ask from our school communities. You know what came up in our survey time and time again? It's mental health. It's tough being a kid. They need help with managing emotions and interpersonal skills. The community wants to know how our schools are going to support kids with their mental health. You'll never guess it. My wonderful audience. But we again reached out to ASCA, and you'll never guess what they said. Oh yeah, we do that. We're school counselors. Here, folks. They said that. They said that. Yeah, it's just fantastic. Now, our survey was long and covered many issues, and something that came up over and over again is who our kids are becoming. Who they're becoming. How are schools helping kids pursue what they want, how they're guiding kids to who they want to be and what they want to do. Who are the schools thinking about our kids' future and helping them navigate big transitions, whether starting a school, a new school, finding the right fit for school, and how about becoming an adult, navigating higher education, the workforce, apprenticeship, trade school, military, anything and everything they want to pursue. Who at the school will be that helping hand and support system for our kids? You guys, we just stayed on the phone with ASCA this time. We asked them one more time, who do they know who could help our kids with transition after transition and pursue their goals and dreams? What do you think they told us? Could such a person even exist? I think you all know what they said, all right? Oh yeah, we do that. We're school counselors. I know, that's right, wonderful. Look, that's it for me tonight, but you have to stick around. We have an incredible show for you. Eric Taylor is coming at you with a big box of lies, featuring up-and-coming school counselor Kaylee Ward. After that, Evelyn Jenkins will leave you in stitches with a brand new Meanwhile segment. You'll have to see it to believe it. Yeah. So, we also have an amazing guest tonight, an exclusive interview with school counseling legend Stephen Kohuth of Denver's East High School. And finally, last but not least, Jocelyn has a big stack of thank you cards to send out. It's really heartwarming stuff. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show because live from Fort Collins, it's Wednesday afternoon.
this segment of the show where we are going to play Box of Lies. We will have 5 graphics in front of us that will talk about either lies or misconceptions about school counselors. And the wonderful Miss Kaylee, who has joined us here, give it up for Kaylee, will have to decide if it's a lie or a truth about school counselors. For our first graphic, it looks like 5 people dressed in graduation robes, and they're all saying, finally my master's degree from an accredited university, a 100-hour practicum, and a 600-hour internship. Now I can be a school counselor. Is that a truth or a lie about school counselors?
So you're telling me that school counselors have to have a master's degree and 700 hours of hands-on experience? I think that's a lie. School counselors don't have to have that much training.
I'm sorry, but that's the truth. It's a misconception that school counselors do not receive as much education as clinical counselors. Actually, clinical counselors and school counselors receive similar types of education. They just specialize in different things.
Dang it! I guess it makes sense that school counselors would have to have similar educational background as other counselors.
All right, no worries. Let's see how you do in the next one. What I see is a draft of a text message to a Mr. Smith. And it says, "Hi, Mr. Smith. I am your daughter's school counselor. This is what we talked about in our last session." Do you think that's a truth or a lie about what school counselors would do?
This is a tough one. I know a little bit about confidentiality, but not a lot. I think I'm going to say a lie. A school counselor would not tell a student's parents what they talked about during their session.
That is correct. Good job. This is a lie. School counselors will not tell anyone what is discussed. This includes parents, teachers, friends, and anyone else.
I knew it, but are there any circumstances when confidentiality would need to be broken?
That's a great question. As a matter of fact, there are. For the most part, school counselors will not disclose anything you talk about with them except under the following circumstances. The student poses a danger to self or others. There is a court order to disclose this information. The school counselor is consulting with other professionals such as colleagues, supervisor, treatment teams, and other support personnel in support of the student. Or school counselors are also mandated reporters, meaning if there's any abuse or suspected abuse is talked about, we are required to report this information.
That makes sense. It sounds like the student is the school counselor's primary obligation, and to protect them, they might have to break confidentiality when it's necessary.
That's right. A school counselor's primary duty is to the student and no one else. Are you ready for the next graphic?
Let's do it.
All right. I see someone sitting in an office chair with their feet on their desk with a sign that says school counselor's office. They also have a thought bubble that says, "If only I had something to do." Is this true or a lie about school counselors?
This is an easy one. I know it's a lie for sure because school counselors are always super busy.
That is correct. School counselors are kept very busy from the moment they walk in the door. We actually have a schedule from a school counselor who runs the blog, The Responsive Counselor, to show us how busy their day is. Can we pull that up? This is her schedule until 11 a.m. Most days, she wraps up her day around 5 p.m., and we can see that she's busy all day.
Wow, I knew they were busy, but not this busy.
Yeah. On to the next graphic. I see what looks like a list titled Reasons to Go to the School Counselor. And the list reads, 1, I got in trouble. 2, punishment is right around the corner. 3, the principal was too busy to tell me I got suspended. And 4, I did something bad, so they have to call my parents. What do you think? Truth or a lie?
I think that this is a lie. School counselors do more than just punish students, right?
That's correct.
Oh, yeah.
There are many reasons why one would go to the school counselor. Actually, students will never go to the school counselor as a punishment or to receive a punishment. According to the American School Counseling Association, some reasons why one would visit the school counselor are as follow. Apply academic achievement strategies, learn to manage emotions and apply interpersonal skills, and plan for post-secondary options.
Wow, school counselors do a lot more than I thought.
Yeah. On to our final graphic.
Okay.
I see a tall building labeled Mental Health Professionals Clubhouse. Outside are 2 people, a security guard and what looks like a school counselor. The security guard is yelling, "Stop, no school counselors allowed." Is this a truth or a lie?
I think that this is the truth because I don't think that school counselors are considered mental health professionals.
I'm sorry, but that is incorrect. School counselors are, in fact, mental health professionals. Although they have different training than other mental health professionals, school counselors specialize in providing mental health services to those in elementary, middle, or high school. And with that, we wrap up Box of Lies.
Okay.
Kaylee, thank you for being here and participating. Everyone, give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
All right, tonight we have a very special guest, Stephen Kohuth. He has been a counselor at East High School for almost 20 years, and our cohort has a few questions for him. So please welcome Stephen Kohuth.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So we're just going to be talking about the life of a school counselor and the career itself and why it's so important.
I love talking about school counseling. So
Perfect. You're in the right spot.
So I was thinking to begin, we would just ask you a little bit about your background and how you came to school counseling and how long you've been doing it, where you do it, all that kind of stuff.
okay. Just like start at the beginning. So I was an English teacher at a middle school in Denver Public Schools for actually 11 years before I left. But when I was there, I remember my principal, it was like my second or third year of teaching, my principal mentioned to me that she thought I'd be a good school counselor. So that kind of intrigued me. And then then whenever our school counselor was out, she would get a sub, and the sub would cover my English class, and I would work in the counseling office. And so I really liked it. I liked working with students and stuff. And eventually just, went to grad school and got my master's in counseling. I got my master's in agency counseling instead of school counseling originally, because I didn't like some of the things that our school counselor had to do. So it was a school of about, at that time, there was like 800 kids, and she was doing discipline. She was a counselor. It was a nightmare. She did a great job of it, but it just was not what I wanted to do. But then I didn't leave teaching for a long time. And then I finally decided, I should probably leave and become a counselor. And I contacted one of my supervisors, and she said that she would help me out and she'd like introduce me to people and stuff, but that I would be starting at this much money. It's like, oh my gosh, that's like a lot less than I make as a teacher. So I thought about it and talked to some people, and then went back to grad school and got my school counseling endorsement, and did another practicum, and then interviewed and got a job at East High School. And that was almost 20 years ago. So I've been a school counselor at East ever since.
So my question is, in your experience, what are some of the most common misconceptions about the role of school counselors, and how can we work to dispel these myths?
So I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that we just are guidance counselors, like the term from the 50s, that we talk to students about their grades, and that's about it. We help them graduate, and we don't do anything else. And that that we're not trained as therapists, that we don't do a lot of the things we do. I think a lot of people are really surprised when they learn all the things that we do, especially here at East. So I think that's probably the biggest misconception, is just not really knowing what we do, and then and trying to get people to understand the three realms of what we do: the social, emotional, the academic, and as well as college and post-secondary. Here at East, people know what we do pretty well, and we're pretty well taken care of. But there's still like lots of teachers who don't understand what we do. We think if a student's having a hard day, then you have to send them to the school psychologist, not the counselor, stuff like that.
Yeah, and then going off of that, my next question is kind of similar. Would you say school counselors are primarily educators, primarily mental health professionals, or is it somewhere in the middle?
Definitely in the middle, because there's a lot of educational aspect to what we do. In fact, I was working with my intern now and creating a presentation for 10th and 11th graders on the college process. So we do a lot of educating of that, but mental health stuff is big part of what we do, especially what I do. We're a really big school and we have 9 counselors here. And so each of us kind of all of us do mental health stuff, but that's one of my specialties. So I tend to do more of that. I'm a friend of mine and we lead different groups. We do all sorts of stuff. Kind of one of the inside jokes of our department is that, the crying kids come to Liz and I. So we get all the crying kids. But no, it's good. So yeah, definitely a mix. Sorry, that was a lot of words just to say yes, it's a mix.
No, thank you. I appreciate the explanation.
How do you kind of balance the mental health professional side and the more administrative, having to create schedule side of your day-to-day work when working with students?
Interesting. That's like one of the hardest things we do. Like building schedules, all that. I mean, everybody just knows at those points of the year that takes precedence. And so we're working with schedules, we're doing all this stuff. But as things kind of normalize, there are different waves of things that are happening. But like mental health issues are always coming up. So we always have kids coming in, checking in with us, needing to talk, needing support. But then like emails never end. And, documenting things and all that. That's like, for me, is the hardest part. Really trying to figure out, because I do not turn students away. If somebody shows up and needs to talk to me, it's really, really hard for me to be like, I'll just talk to you tomorrow. I've got to reply to this email. So I usually wind up not balancing things very well at all and taking things home and doing emails at home or writing things up at home and stuff like that, rather than using the time I have at work. For me, that's the hardest thing. Some of my colleagues are really good at establishing like boundaries of like, okay, this period, and actually our admin set that up for us. So period 4, we're officially closed. So we can use that time to be checking emails, to documenting things, to working on other stuff.
My question is surrounding how things have morphed, if they have, from COVID, because you were counseling through COVID and now have gone through the other side, and what you've seen with the students, with the teachers, with the parents.
It definitely is different. It's hard to really put my finger on just like one or two things. Engagement in school is very different than it used to be. Students are so got used to doing things online, and I think are realizing, that especially in some classes, they don't really have to be there. As long as they're checking Schoology and follow along with what's going on, they can do well enough. I think there's the amount of anxiety and depression and is so much higher now. It's just a general sense of discomfort. It's a lot more, a lot more just anxiety and worry about things, and especially with the year that we've had. It's been rough. We've got, we had quite a few students requesting, not coming back. I think, online school, stuff like that have really increased. Parents just not being sure of what they're supposed to do. There a lot of the just the knowledge of how school is, what high school is, was lost, because we had 2 classes where nothing was done how it normally is, or very few things are done how it normally is. So that just knowledge that kind of gets passed down of this is what you do and this is how things work was lost. And now we're trying to redo those things and streamline them, make them better. So almost everything in ways is harder, and it's like we're trying to reinvent things.
So one of my big questions is, how do you think, or I guess what would be the best way for school counselors to effectively advocate for the profession?
That's a really good question. One of my first thoughts, I don't want to sound like too facetious, is to do a good job, to be a good school counselor, to have students saying, oh, well, you need this, or this is what's happening, or you're feeling bad, or you need, you're worried about college, talk to your school counselor. And have the kids realizing how important we are. Having, once they realize we are the people that they need to talk to, they'll spread the word. They'll talk to their parents, like, oh yeah, I talked to my school counselor today and he said this and this, and I talked to my school counselor today and she was able to help me solve these things. And I think a lot of it just comes from there's to be announcements and stuff. Just doing a good job and showing and being needed, being worthwhile, because then teachers also will start to figure out, okay, this is what we do, and then admins figure it out. And then, I've been very lucky to be at East High School for my entire counseling career, because the whole time I've been here, school counseling has been very well thought of, and we're very well taken care of. The admin knows what we do. They have very high expectations for us. So that's been instrumental. We're always so well taken care of. In fact, one of the former principals here, he was when he was an assistant principal, he was over counseling, and he, at one of our department meetings, told us that we make him look better because he has these different things he needs us to do. We're working on graduation rates. We're working on post-secondary stuff. We're getting kids into college. We're getting kids graduated, getting them into jobs, all these different things that are things that he's supposed to be getting done, and we're helping him do it. So, I guess that's a very long-winded answer to your question, but, just making sure that people realize how important we are. Because going out and telling people, hey, counselors are great, these are the things we do, doesn't mean much unless you're doing it.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, so I guess a little follow-up on that. I don't know if you've seen this in your situation, but how have you kind of done some damage control or whatnot if you stepped into a role where the school counselor hasn't necessarily lived up to what they should be doing?
In small ways, we do that all the time. I took a phone call today for a parent. Her kid's counselor she's has a doctor's appointment today, so she's not here. So she's like, trying to get in touch with my kid's counselor, and she's not there. I think anybody can answer this question, so I answer the questions for her. I mean, stuff like that happens all the time. I'm not able to do something, or I'm gone, so one of my students will go find a different counselor. They'll take care of whatever. Big problems, fortunately, I haven't had to deal with much. And a lot of the big problems that happen get bumped up to admin because they're like that big of a deal. Like going through and missing something in a graduation thing. Like, so for example, when I was a relatively new counselor, one of the other counselors missed the fact that one of her seniors was missing a semester of US history. And senior checkout day came, and this poor student was 5 credits short of US history and could not graduate. So that is like a big issue that got bumped up to admin, and all the rest of us are just like, oh my God, and double checking our stuff even more.
My next question, what steps can school counselors take to educate school administrators and other stakeholders about the importance of promoting student success and well-being? And I think you've kind of answered this already periodically throughout other answers, but if add to that specifically.
So try not to repeat myself too much, but one of the things I'm lucky at here at East, like I said, we've been really well supported, and admin knows what we do. But right now, my current principal was a counselor. In fact, we were counselors together here at East. So she knows what we do, and she knows what we can do. If somebody wasn't sure or didn't know what we did, we do track a lot of data. And I think just really keeping, making sure we're sharing that data, the grade data, the graduation graduation reports, we have our danger students list, which is what we call it, where we actually have people who are able to come up with like danger rankings for students based on grades, absences, Ds, all that behavior incidents, all that sort of stuff, which ranks them on, and then we color coded like red, orange, yellow, green, and making sure we're sharing that information, letting them know, hey, I've got 7 red kids right now. I'm meeting with them this often. This is what's going on with them. I've talked to them. Just really making sure that we're sharing data and the things that we're doing that are like more behind the scenes, like making sure not only we're dealing with our red kids, but letting them know, hey, we're talking to these kids, or we're doing like must have been last week we did a transitions fair where we actually had the district transitions person was in the building. We had representatives from some of the different pathway schools, and then students that have expressed an interest in going to a different school, or students that are struggling that we think may benefit from being at a different placement. And we contacted parents, let them know that we're having this event, asked if it was okay if their kid could come. And so we had a bunch of kids coming in looking at alternative schools that might be a better fit for them. Just, things like that, making sure admin is aware of the things that we do to take care of kids, making sure the admin knows that we're running grief groups, that we're running a trans support group, making sure just the different things that we do.
Thank you.
And real quick, can I ask, when you say danger students, is that referring to students who are in danger of not graduating?
Yes, not kids that are like scary because we think they're going to beat us up, but they're behind on credits, they're off track to graduate. Those are our danger kids.
And I was hoping you would talk a little bit about the relationship you have with teachers and how you support teachers within the school.
So we try to work as closely with teachers as we can, getting to know them, supporting students with their teachers. Like this morning, I had a student come down. She was really upset. She didn't understand what was going on in her chemistry. They're doing like this pre-lab test. She didn't know what was going on. She was really upset. She came down, just relaxed in the counseling office. Another kid came by, same grade, also freaked out about this pre-lab thing. So she was here. I found another student who helped her with the chemistry. I went and I talked to their teachers, found out what was going on, what they're supposed to be doing, all that sort of stuff. Just we try to be out and about, not just like sitting in our offices all the time. So we talk to teachers and just try to get to know them. We have teachers that come talk to us, ask questions, like on a personal level and even professionally. They're struggling with things and they'll ask us for help. It's just just really trying to create strong connections with staff as well as with our students. I had a student in here before this call, and her teacher texted me. It's like, hey, is this student in your office with you? I said, yes, she is. And he's like, great, thanks. Just double checking that where the students are and stuff like that.
Well, I think that was awesome. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time. We really appreciate it and hope to advocate more for the profession.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have any questions or anything else comes up, I'd love to answer questions or talk about things. Or there's so much. This is just such an amazing job.
I'll do one more question and then we'll go. And I just want to know what you would say to newly graduating school counselors.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. None of us are absolute experts on everything. Ask questions. That we're always going across to each other's offices asking things. And another super important thing is to be flexible. Understand that you'll show up, think, okay, I've got to get these 10 things done. Here's my list of things to do. And you may not get to any of them. On a good day, you might get to 3. Because kids will come in, things will happen. That's one of the best parts of the job is you never know what's going to happen. Every day is different. Even though it seems like we're kind of always doing the same thing, it's so different every day. And I guess the third big thing is to take care of yourself. You know, I'm really lucky I'm here. We've got a big team. And so I know who I can talk to about certain things. If I have a really tough day, or if a kid comes in and we're doing a suicide risk review, or, you know, I'm finding out about horrible things or just rough things, I go and I talk to my friends. And we'll walk over to Starbucks and we'll chat and we'll just kind of debrief and take care of each other. That's the most important thing. You don't just carry stuff around, because then it'll just like eat you up and you'll hate your job and you won't be able to help your students. So yeah, those are the big three. Ask questions, be prepared for chaos, and take care of yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Oh, you're
This is the part of the show where I catch up on my thinking notes for the week. If you folks don't mind, I'd like to write some right now. Would that be okay with all of you guys, gals, and non-binary pals? Okay, great, thank you. Sharon, could I get some thank you note writing music, please? Thank you, education, for using acronyms to relay simple ideas in a concise yet complex way and simultaneously confuse school administrators. You truly are an unsung hero of communication. Thank you, my salary. I'm looking forward to paying off my student loans until I'm 90 years old. Thank you, lunch duty, for reminding all school counselors they paid thousands of dollars to watch kids eat hot dogs at 10:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. Seriously though, school counselors are the best. They're the ones who help keep everything together when things get tough. So to all school counselors out there, these thank you cards are for you. Thank you, school counselors, for your tireless efforts to ensure that every student has access to resources they need to succeed academically, emotionally, and socially. Thank you, school counselors, for your commitment to equity and inclusivity. Your efforts to create a safe and welcoming environment for all students are making a real impact. Thank you, school counselors, for being a constant source of support for students. Your dedication to their well-being is truly invaluable. Thank you, students, for trusting us with your mental health education and for teaching us so much in return. Your passion for learning, your creativity, and your diverse perspectives continue to motivate us to be better counselors every day. Well, folks, those are our thank you notes.
Folks, the school counseling world can be full of some pretty serious stuff, from disruptive behavior to crisis intervention. But now, let's get into a silly, goofy mood with a look at some of the more positive news in our field. It's time for Meanwhile. Meanwhile, some recent research suggests that video games may actually have some cognitive and mental health benefits for children and teens. I know I have some middle school clients who will be pumped to hear this. There is still some debate over what benefits exactly video games may have, but a study done in October at the University of Vermont found that children who played video games were better at tasks involving impulse control and working memory than their non-gamer peers. Additionally, A longitudinal study done last year by University College London found that 11-year-old boys who played video games were less likely to develop depressive symptoms 3 years later. Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Experts still recommend that screen time be limited so that it doesn't interfere with sleep and schoolwork. You hear that, Timmy? We know you've been hiding your Nintendo Switch under your pillow when your mom comes in to check that you're actually sleeping. We're on to you. Go to bed. Meanwhile, in South Carolina, Clemson University has partnered with a local school district to invest in future school counselors. The project will use $5.8 million. I know, $5.8 million of funding from the Department of Education to cover the cost of tuition for any current Greenwood County school employees who are looking to become school counselors. Isn't that amazing? Let's give that a round of applause. And to celebrate, we sent out a call to talented artists across the nation to send us their best artistic rendering of the Clemson Tiger. Let's take a look. That's adorable. Meanwhile, researchers at the University of Alabama in Birmingham are studying how learning magic tricks can benefit adolescents with unilateral cerebral palsy. These teens are learning magic arts through a training camp run by Hocus Pocus Creative Learning. According to Professor Han Yuen, participating in structured magic training programs like these can improve both motor and social emotional function. I know I'll be reaching out to these magicians later to see if they can help make my paperwork disappear. And finally, meanwhile, in Rantoul, Illinois this February, it's school therapy dog Cooper to the rescue. Students at Broadmeadow Elementary School sheltered in place following tornado warnings in the area, but luckily, Cooper was there to comfort his students. Sources say he is well qualified and excellent at his job. Personally, I think he should be given a raise. Thank you for joining us for Meanwhile, and that is our show.